Notre Dame falls at home to Northern Illinois. Final score, Notre Dame 14, NIU 16. What just happened? Like, what did we all just see? Because this was the Notre Dame team that I sat right here, looked into this camera 1 week ago today, this morning, and said, y'all, Notre Dame, they're for real now. They're a college football playoff team. They went into College Station and played a gritty brand of football to get it done. We'll see about the offense, but defense looks great. And very, very confusing showing from Notre Dame. What does it mean for the Fighting Irish going forward? I mean, what does it say about their college football playoff hopes? We'll talk about that right now. Make sure you're subscribed right here if you're a Notre Dame fan. I think there's still a lot left on the table for your Irish. If you're a college football fan, lock in here because it's college football, nothing but college football, the greatest sport on the face of the planet. So we appreciate y'all being dialed in. So in a major upset like this, it's tough to break it down from a football perspective super intricately because at the end of the day, like, Notre Dame had the better players. That's not a secret. Everybody knows that. And so when you have the better players, what usually has to happen when you lose to a G5 team and your Notre Dame is like, okay, you didn't execute on some things you have to execute on, and you just continue to, maybe allow NIU to catch some breaks. Like, you look at that touchdown that NIU scored on the pass play, and it was right there. Could have been a pick. Safety's about to step in front of that one, and they're just a hair late, so they don't intercept it. NIU catches it. They're just, after they catch that, and there's a whiff on the pass breakup attempt, nothing but green grass, and they're all the way out to the end zone. That freak early pass, not early pass, but the freak interception of sorts, in my opinion, where Riley Leonard throws it, it's tipped up in the air, it's intercepted. Like, that first one, it's tough. Probably a decision you'd like to have back if you're Riley Leonard, but you kind of charge it to the game. You don't fit the run properly, clearly, to allow 190 yards on the ground. When we saw Notre Dame fit the run, I think better than anybody else in America during week one, like just some things where you're sort of going palms up at the end of the day as a Notre Dame fan because you're like, that's on us. Like, you don't take anything away from NIU, but at the same time, you understand if Notre Dame plays their football game, their style of ball, and they play sound assignment football, that game's not even a close game. We're not even discussing that game this morning because it's a blowout. Notre Dame's on to the next week. And so I think this whole situation here does lean in a little bit into my preseason question I had about Notre Dame. I was curious a little bit what the consistency for them would look like. Because as much as I like Riley Leonard as a talent, there have been times throughout his career where he will be up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think what we saw yesterday was sort of, in some ways, a microcosm of that. Having the 2 interceptions, the pick at the end of the game. Now, give Riley Leonard a ton of credit because he stepped up to that podium post-game and handled himself like an adult, like spoke to the media, said, hey, it's on me. We're going to go how I go right now. Like, I got to be a positive force for this football team. And, like, if I'm an NFL GM watching that, I'm saying, okay, that's a guy that can help us out. That can be the face of our franchise. So as much as it frustrates you, you do, I think, see the leadership in Riley Leonard. But again, my question is consistency. Are we going to get the same quarterback play every single week? And then on the defensive side of the ball, again, like, you can't allow 190 yards in any game, NIU or anyone else, and expect to be in position to win. And Notre Dame lined up for a 60-plus yard field goal to try to win it. But, like, if that's what you're banking on at the end of the game, it's an unfortunate discussion to be having, especially when it's a G5 opponent. Now, what happens next? Because, again, the football side of things, you sort of just shrug your shoulders out a little bit and say, that's super bizarre. Notre Dame did not play their style of ball. But what happens now going forward? Because I told you last week, I think Notre Dame's a playoff team. This game doesn't necessarily support that thesis, but I would say that their season is by no stretch of the imagination over. Now, in the BCS era, it's over. In the college football playoff era, losing to a G5 team, it's over. I don't think your season is over just yet if you're Notre Dame, but it absolutely removes any safety net that you ever had before. Like I told you during the preseason predictions and stuff, I said, hey, Notre Dame, if they go 10-2, and maybe it's a loss here to USC, a loss there to Florida State, how the vibe has changed around Florida State. If they lose those games, like 10-2 Notre Dame probably still gets in. 10-2 Notre Dame with a loss to NIU and to somebody else does not get in the college football playoff. Does not happen. I think at this point now, you are trying to, the rest of your season, make up and atone for this kind of a showing against a G5 opponent. Because the unfortunate part for Notre Dame is there is no auto bid. Like, you have chosen to not be in a conference, more power to you, but like with that territory comes the reality that you can't win your conference and have an auto bid. Like, this loss impacts Notre Dame differently than it would a Clemson, a Georgia, Ohio State, because those teams could all just run the table after this, win the conference, and be in. Now Notre Dame is, like, again, trying to make up, I believe, in the mind of the college football public and the college football playoff selection committee, that they are still one of the 12 best teams. One of the 11, I guess, if you're taking away that G5 spot. One of the 7 best teams, if you're 6 best teams, I guess, if you're taking away the conference championship conversation. 7 best teams. I'll take that back. At-large bids. Final answer. So, what do you do going forward is the question, right? The obvious part, you got to clean up the execution. It's pretty straightforward. This is very bizarre to say this out loud, and it sounds funny to even put it on a video for y'all. But in some ways now, the very strange advantage you could argue for Marcus Freeman in this setting is that he's been here before. And if you're a Notre Dame fan, you kind of roll your eyes and exhale and probably feel some sort of way about me even saying that. But like, Notre Dame lost to Marshall with a much less talented roster than what they have right now, then went out to win 9 football games. So what I'm trying to say here is Marcus Freeman is no stranger to resetting after a gut punch kind of loss. Now, you have a gut punch kind of loss. That's a discussion itself you probably have to have separately. Like, why are we still in this situation? Why do we arrive at the situation multiple times throughout the course of your, coaching career here at Notre Dame? But still, like, I don't think that should just be dismissed. You have a head coach now that is in, a territory where he's familiar with being able to rebound, have success, get his team back ready to play, and be able to ultimately push what they want to push for, which is, again, a college football playoff spot. So the new playoff model, I will say this, I think they will reward dominance when it comes to talking about those 7 at-large spots. I think they will reward playing your best football at the right time in this new college football playoff model. So all that's to say, man, you are rooting for some fat cows when you play them. Like Florida State, that looks like it may not be one of them, but you're pulling for the Noles. So when you play them, they are ranked or as highly ranked as possible so you can knock them down and boost your resume. You are absolutely rooting for USC to run the table and to be undefeated when you play them, to go to USC, get a win, boost the resume. Boost the resume. You play at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost yesterday. They still have a chance now. They could be ranked when you play them. That would boost the resume. All that's to say, you are rooting for your opponents on your schedule to boost your resume. Because, again, there's no auto bid for Notre Dame. It is what it is. I think the folks out there in South Bend are just fine with that for the time being. But this is a strange one. It's not a season ruiner. It can be if you let it. But, again, I think Marcus Freeman and the fact that he's been able to bounce back from these kind of situations and have his football team with a lot less ability on that football team and be able to have success, it could end up being a very weird, very strange, very quirky kind of tool in his tool belt. But, hey, you'll take it. You'll take it. But you will not take this loss, and this will not be something that folks are kind about for the next, I don't know how long. But regardless, Notre Dame got to pick up the pieces. It's not over. That climb becomes a lot more steep. There's no way around it, but got to make a statement the rest of the way. Period. Mic drop. The end. Make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel. Want to hear from y'all there. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.